I'm Lee Pitcher, Head of Partnerships for Yorkshire Water, General Manager for the Living with Water Partnership.
Lovely. So what does that mean in terms of your responsibilities?
Yeah, so from a Yorkshire Water point of view, I am responsible for, I guess, how we work across partnerships, different organisations to manage water differently, whether that be to improve the water quality in our seas, or whether that be to improve water quality in our rivers, through to resolving flood risk in areas and building community resilience.
I mean, in the session we had this morning, very interesting. I mean, you highlighted just how vulnerable this region is. Just remind us of some of those statistics, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, globally, we're seeing huge issues, aren't we? We're seeing animals and species die out at rates that are 100 times faster than the normal evolutionary rate of extinction. We're seeing mass flooding, 2 billion people affected in the last couple of decades from flooding, and that is exactly what we're seeing here. It's no different. So, and in fact, when you compare us to the rest of the UK, we are in an area that is at the second biggest risk of catastrophic flooding, and of course we are fortunate to a certain extent, but also unfortunate in terms of our topography, in that Hull sits down in a bowl. When it rains, that bowl fills up. The majority of people sit within 10 metres of sea level. In fact, I think it's about 95% of people sit actually on or below high tide level. So sea level rise in this particular area, threat from the estuary, from rainfall, from the rivers, it's coming at us from all angles in this particular area.
And I know you've taken a lead at Yorkshire Water with the Living with Water campaign to bring together all the disparate agencies and parties who have responsibility to try and bring some coherence to this.
Yeah.
So how successful are you being?
I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate about it because from a personal viewpoint, I was homeless as a kid. One day I had a house and the next day I didn't have a home for about 12 months, and I lived in one room. Not from a flooding point of view, for a different reason, but the emotions are the same. I felt helpless. I just wanted somebody to help me. And actually what Live with Water is all about, it's about the right organisation. So we each have a responsibility individually, but actually coming together with one single mindset just to resolve flooding and try to help those people that we all serve collectively, and ensure that no children, no families in the future have to go through that same experience of moving out of their homes into caravans or into other families' properties. It just shouldn't happen in this day and age, and unfortunately with the impact of climate change, that threat is just all too real. So we have to work together, we have to collaborate, and Live with Water has come on so much in the last couple of years. It's an award-winning partnership just because of how we work together, but actually we are now starting to look at the schemes that we need to implement, infrastructure, new blue-green infrastructure that we can implement in different areas of our region that will hopefully reduce the risk of flooding to localised areas. But we've also started to get into schools and enrich the curriculum by providing Live with Water lessons. We are using the arts and culture to really connect with some of those communities that we've not been able to before. Yeah, it's a fabulous project, and it's really delivering benefits in the area.
I mean, you're clearly doing a lot in terms of mitigation and adaptation, but there's a lot of to talk about changing attitudes, changing habits, raising awareness. I wonder whether that's almost the harder part, trying to get people to, I say take this seriously, but you know what I mean, to realise they are vulnerable and there are some simple steps they might take to plan for what they do, rather than panic when they're suddenly threatened by water at their door.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? There are those big things that we need to do. Yeah, there's big infrastructure that we need to put in place, and there are organisations there to do that. But this is so huge, this issue, that actually each individual, you can't underestimate how much of a difference you can make as an individual, or as a resident of Hull or the East Riding. And what I mean by that is, by going out and looking at your own house and looking at your own garden and looking at whether there is something that you can do to soak up some of the water during the heavy rainfall, a little planter, looking at a water butt, creating a little mini wildflower wetland in your garden. All of those things not only reduce the flood risk, and you're a part of this bigger picture that you're making a difference, but they have great benefits as well, because you're back out in nature, you're in the fresh air doing that sort of stuff. Children love doing that sort of stuff as well, but it brings in bees and pollinators. It just makes a world of difference. I suppose the other thing for me as well is you could build a flood plan for your house, and I think that is really important, because we don't want anyone to flood, but if it does happen, you kind of need to be as prepared as possible so you can bounce back from it as quick as possible. Having a flood plan allows you to prepare for heavy rainfall when it comes. That gives you a degree of empowerment and ownership and a bit of control back, and that of course is really important in terms of mental health and your resilience, your personal resilience. But also it allows you to know what to do if you are flooding, and there's nothing worse than panicking in the moment and having that vulnerability that you've talked about. That doesn't need to be as bad as that, because if you're planned, you can respond and you can do things that will really help, and as I say, bounce back a lot quicker afterwards. And
I know you work a lot with young people and schools, I guess a generation that's very receptive to the messaging, but I guess you have to strike a balance between motivation, avoiding anxiety, but I guess maybe also creating a sense of positivity and purpose in getting involved with all of this. So for me, yes, there is always the chance that children could hear some of those messages about the climate and feel quite scared and quite anxious about it. However, what I would say is that nearly every child that I've ever talked to, every school that I've been into, every lesson that I've listened into, the children are just so passionate and they want to do something. So if you can pull that passion together and use that to turn that into positive action, it's there. The key ingredients is already there, and it's not anxiety that's leading them to want to do that. It's because they actually want to make a difference in the world that they're growing up in. And that's just fantastic, because that gives us a lever straight away that enables us to build on success. And I know a lot of what you do, and I know you have your own passions beyond Yorkshire Water in creativity, and that can be a great device, can't it, for stimulating awareness, dialogue, discussion, involvement. So tell me a little bit about how that's working. So our communities, and it's great that our demographic is so different. It's so different. So some people have the ability to reach out to arts and culture, music festivals, all of those sorts of things as part of their everyday life. Some children, some families just don't have that opportunity. And actually, it's such a great way to engage differently, in a different genre, really, with our families. And seeing a massive mural attracts attention. Children look at it, they want to talk about it. For example, going out to floodlights over this next few days, where we've got some 3 absolutely breathtaking, I'm talking about mesmerising installations, all related to flood risk and flood risk management, and they allow you to drift off into another world and think differently and think creatively and spark that inner passion within some children that might not necessarily be there through their normal sort of traditional education and stuff that they do, that then kind of inspires them to want to be the different type of engineer in the future, or want them to be somebody who works with digital in the future to inspire other people. So arts and culture plays a massive role here. And you seem to be someone who has really embraced this. You're very passionate about it. I don't know, maybe it's a combination of your childhood experience and your knowledge of all of this, but what is it that really drives you for this? What gives this aura of positivity every time I speak to you?
So I think at my core and I'm a minds and hearts person, yeah. So the mind piece is always about practically what can we do to make a difference and make that difference well. So that's the innovation and using every means possible and tool possible to improve things. But the heart piece comes from my childhood. It comes from our family and how we are, and how I feel an absolute responsibility that I am born in the most wonderful place, the most wonderful country, on the most wonderful planet. And my gosh, do I want my children, their grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren to be able to appreciate that just as much as I have. In fact, more than, because we are going to thoroughly change the face of this earth over the next 50 years. We have to, and the reason we have to do that is because it continues to build on the great work that we're doing now. But it just means that our race, the human race, can continue to thrive, but thrive in one with nature and the animals that we've got and the beautiful world that we have.
And you have a genuine belief and optimism that we can do this.
Do you know what? Even after stepping off that stage today, yeah, absolutely. I have an absolute belief and absolute optimism. We've got the most amazing innovations going on right here in the Humber today.
Yeah.
We just heard about some of those great innovations. Why couldn't you be, there's no way anyone couldn't be inspired by what they've heard today. So, yeah, my optimism only grows day by day as I hear all of the wonderful things that we're actually doing.
And here in the Humber, we've got these great initiatives. People are receptive to work in partnership. We're seeing really world-leading stuff in this part of the UK as an example, and not just for the UK, but I guess for other parts of the world. And you've linked with other parts of the world with the Living with Water as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing place to live and to work. We have passionate communities. We have inspiring leaders. We have people that just want to do something for the right reasons. Yeah, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And when I talk to those other countries, one of the big things that they talk to me about is communities and how engaged they are and how they want to be part of what we're doing, and how can they learn from that. So yeah, it's fabulous.
COP26, everybody I talk to, we talk about COP26, but I sort of get a sense after this conversation that whatever comes out of COP26 will hopefully be a move in the direction, whether it's as far as some people want or not, but that, we will be successful ultimately because of the pressure of people to change.
Yeah, I'm a fundamental believer that ordinary people can do extraordinary things, and when they do those extraordinary things, it creates something really special. And yeah, the power is now within. I know it sounds really funny to say it. The power's with the people at the moment. There is a massive wave coming, and interestingly, it comes from below, and we are pushing the government. We're pushing the world leaders to really make a change now. And when I say that, not just to say they're making a change, but to really physically work together to make a change. This is about collaboration. The only way we're going to get through this is the way that we have been tackling the pandemic actually in the last few months. It's about pulling together, working as one big world, and together we can absolutely do this.
Lee Pitcher, thank you very much.
Thank you too.